Good morning, student. Today I deal topic is pyloric stenosis. So, what is pyloric stenosis? Pyloric stenosis is a narrowing of the lower portion of the stomach that is called pylorus that lead into the small intestine. Again, pyloric stenosis is the narrowing of the lower portion of the stomach that lead into the small intestine. Definition: pyloric stenosis is defined as the narrowing of the outlet of the stomach so that food cannot pass easily from into the duodenum, resulting in feeding problem and projectile vomiting. Means, if the patient having pyloric stenosis, the outlet of pylorus in stomach that can not pass food in small intestine that lead to resulting feeding problem and projectile vomiting. Again, pyloric stenosis is the narrowing of the lower portion of the stomach that is called pylorus that lead into the small intestine. The muscles in this part of the stomach thicken, narrowing the opening of the pylorus and preventing food from moving from the stomach to the intestine, means small intestine. Anatomy and physiology of stomach. Firstly, mouth, then esophagus, interior wall means mucous membrane, then layer of the muscles in under abdominal layer, then pylorus, lower portion of the area, pylorus, then duodenum. That is normal anatomy and physiology of the stomach. Then next, normal anatomy: esophagus, stomach, then duodenum. And in infected stomach, pyloric stenosis present in just below the stomach. So next is causes. So first is previous duodenal ulceration. If the patient having previous health record या previous data for duodenal ulceration, then carcinoma. Next, seen most often in firstborn children. It is most seen in the first children, mainly male children. Then other causes is unknown. Antibiotic medication of the mother during breastfeeding. If mother is taking antibiotic medicine during breastfeeding time, so sometime baby having pyloric stenosis. Next, antibiotic therapy like erythromycin. Sometime it is congenital and sometime it is acquired. So next is clinical manifestation. So clinical manifestation, first is projectile vomiting. In projectile vomiting, in which the breast milk or formula milk is projected forcefully from the mouth in a arch-like structure. Again, projectile vomiting, in which the breast milk or formula milk eject forcefully from the mouth in an arch-like, sometime over a distance of several feet. Next, constipation. Constipation or stool that have mucus in them may also be symptoms. Again, constipation or stools that have mucus in them may also one of the most symptoms of pyloric stenosis. Then weight loss. Baby is not taking proper food, that is lead to weight loss. Then jaundice. Then persistent hunger, baby having excessive hunger dehydration because patient or baby not take food because patient give projectile vomiting. This is one of the biggest thing that lead to dehydration of baby, means imbalance of the electrolyte balance. Next is epigastric distension, decrease urine output, palpable pyloric mass, and stomach contraction. It is seen in simple way. So again I am telling, first is projectile vomiting in clinical manifestation, second constipation, weight loss, jaundice, persistent hunger, dehydration, epigastric distension, decreased urine output, and palpable pyloric mass. And other sign and symptom is poor skin turgor, shrunken fontanella, fever, lack of tear, and lethargy. Next, diagnostic evolution. In diagnostic evolution, firstly we take history taking to the parents, and then physical examination, and history collection, physical examination, then abdominal USG, then test of metabolic alkalosis, urine analysis, CBC, endoscopy. In we check the ultrasound, means USG. This is the gold standard of diagnosis in pyloric stenosis. This is an imaging technique that use high frequency sound wave and computer to create image of blood vessels and tissue and organ. It is used to determine the thickness and length of the pylorus muscles. And barium swallow. In barium swallow method, this test examines the organs comprise the upper part of the digestive system, which are the esophagus, stomach, and duodenum, means the first section of the small intestine. Chalky fluid called barium, which is used to coat the inside of the organ so that they will show up on the X-ray clearly. Again I am telling, diagnostic evolution, first is history collection, physical examination, USG, X-ray in abdomen, barium swallow X-ray, then test of metabolic alkalosis, urine analysis, CBC. Next is management. So in management there is a no medical management of this condition. Surgical management is the choice. So first is we give symptomatic management, means patient having which type of symptoms, we deal symptomatic management. Then managing dehydration and electrolyte imbalance. Next, pharmacological management, intravenous and oral atropine. In oral atropine, we can give methyl nitrate and metachloropamide may be used. Then next is surgical management. Again I am telling, there is no medical management of this condition, means good management of medical there is a no medical management of this condition, then surgical management is main choice. So first is Ramsted's pyloromyostomy. In Ramsted's pyloromyostomy, this open up the tight muscle that has caused the narrowing in the stomach. We can open the pylorus and open up the tight muscle that has caused the narrowing in the stomach, allow the passage of food from the stomach to the intestine. This surgery can be performed using either an open or laparoscopic surgical approaches. Next, laparoscopic pyloromyostomy means in the help of laparoscopic surgery. Next is nursing management. Nursing management, it is divided in two parts: pre-operative nursing management and post-operative management. So first is pre-operative nursing management should emphasize maintain fluid and electrolyte balance and nutritional balance with nutritional intake by breastfeeding if not contraindicated. Nasogastric aspiration may be needed to relieve vomiting during feeding. Baby should be placed in upright position on slightly side. Small frequent feeding to be given, and consider thermoregulation before giving the procedure. Consider thermoregulation before transferring to OT. Transfer infant to incubator. Ensure incubator is pre-warm for infant to be transferred into the recovery. Then monitor vital hourly. Monitor wound and report abnormality. Observe for bleeding, swelling, reduce or os from incision site. Maintain adequate fluid and ensure adequate pain relief. And post-operating management should be done with the basic post-anesthetic care and routine care of operated child. Special attention to be provided on oral feeding, usually after 8 to 12 hours of surgery. Then complication, sometimes duodenal perforation may go undescended, especially in laparoscopic Ramstead surgery. Then continued post-operative bleeding, persistent vomiting. This all are the complication of pyloric stenosis.